Okay, so it appears Ian Flynn has decided to create a diatribe against that umbrella guy, or me. Possibly umbrella guy because he says that he got his sources from a biased source. But yeah, yesterday there was a stream featuring that umbrella guy, Zealous Fox, and Alex Hedgefox. I would heavily recommend that you guys check out their Twitter and their YouTube and their DeviantArt and whatever else they have. They are very nice people, and they have been of much help in my research against Ian Flynn, helping me to expose more of his corrupt stuff than just, he made my waifu gay. And what's funny is that it came out during a stream they were doing, so yeah, that is very interesting to me. 4 hours before the stream, he began complaining about how people are being mean to him again. And so, with that, here is his diatribe. I hope you enjoy my reading of it. Okay, here's the reading of his tweets. Long tweet Shane incoming. Feeling grateful, thankful, and want to express it, but it needs some context. Too late, didn't read. I've got great fans, thank you all. So, a professional friend of mine linked me to a video today. We'll steer clear of what it was about and who they are aligned with, to stave off some drama. Suffice to say, it was an outsider's look at the new Sonic books. This person got their insight from a very biased source. This source, if I'm not mixing up my haters, has wished me bodily harm in the past and has baffling views on what's happened in the Sonic books over the years. Aside, I mean facts I can't refute because they are not based on anything real, and whatever I could correct would be labeled as lying, so you can't win for losing, you know? Anyway, growing up in the fandom, I knew how fast disinformation could spread, and how passionate fans could be towards the creatives. Regardless of how directly or indirectly they are connected to the franchise becoming a Sonic Pro, I knew I needed to get ahead of all that. So via Twitter, Bumblecast, the old forum, and other avenues, I've tried to be open to the fandom, give it to you straight where I can, maybe tease here and there, knowing smile, but never lie or be malicious, because somebody would find out eventually. They always do. And you know, it'd be wrong. I can't be everywhere at once. I can't correct every bit of misinformation out there, malicious or not, so by engaging the fans and being as direct and as informative as possible, there are more voices out there to cancel out the static. The video was unnerving because this outsider was getting their insight from a hateful, aggressive side of the fandom, but in the comments there were fans to set the stand at the record straight. Whether it was just being supportive or presenting the facts, they were there. Even the ones who weren't 100% on board with all I've done, I had cultivated enough goodwill, they felt compelled to speak up on my behalf. It's just incredibly heartening to know that y'all have my back. When someone lies that I need sneered and threw the autograph at them, or have an agenda for or against insert character pairing here, y'all step in and go, actually, don't get me wrong, I'm not looking to recruit a cheer squad or enforcers. The former is vapid and the latter is against my principles. I'm talking about a professional friendship that cultivated over the past 10 years. So for those of you who support me in buying my books, sending you well wishes, and opposing those with their vendettas, thank you. You honor me. I'll do my best to live up to that respect you show me. Now, if you don't know who Ian Flynn is, he is the current writer of the IDW Sonic comics, and the former writer of the Sonic the Hedgehog RG comics. He and some of his co-workers have been known to talk down to fans, to lie to them, and of course, he's also known to be very manipulative. And his fan base is quite infamous, sending death threats to people for simply liking another author, or bullying them into submission by saying that Ian Flynn can do no wrong, and that if you disagree, then you hate Sonic the Hedgehog. He has also been known to refer to anyone that disagrees with him or that criticizes him, even if they just so happen to like his work, as haters, and that they have a clear inherent bias, means of shutting down people using ad hominem logical fallacies. And if your argument relies entirely on ad hominem logical fallacies, well, then you've completely failed. Some instances of him being a manipulative SJW include, but are not limited to, making two characters gay because one character couldn't be in a relationship with another character, saying he wanted to save a certain set of characters, but when the comic ended, he immediately said, "Yeah, I was trying to get rid of them." Just to name a few examples. On his forums, which are now dead, he has also been known to block people for simply liking the Sonic the Hedgehog Saturday morning cartoon, and of course for disagreeing with him. And there have even been some rumors circulating around that he might have actually sent people out to harass these critics. However, though, there is no evidence to support that he actually said that on the forums. And unfortunately, right now, I don't feel like digging into the Wayback Machine. Now, in his last tweet, he says that he is thankful for those who are opposing his vendettas. However, in this previous tweet, he says he is not trying to get a bunch of enforcers. So, which is it? And of course, he also thanks people for going into the comments and correcting them. Or, in other words, fixing what he considers to be fake news. This came not too long after the Umbrella Guy, and, of course, yours truly, the Rhodesian Raccoon, made a couple of videos about him and how fans are starting to call Sega and how the phone lines have been clogged with these phone calls. Now, he's been sending people out to essentially harass those who had made phone calls, which in and of itself is considered cyberbullying, but this isn't even the tip of it. However, I can't really tell if he's specifically referring to me or that Umbrella Guy, because both of us use similar sources and we got information from similar people, but I also got some information from much more people than just Alex Hedgefox. Rather, I went onto various wikis, I went onto Twitter, so I used a ton of various sources that aren't really biased per se, so I don't really know why that would be referring to me. However, though, I do have a lot of comments in that video saying, no, you're wrong, but they never really explain why I'm wrong. They just sort of say it, and nothing more. I didn't even bother arguing with these people since there's really no point. This series of tweets, however, makes it very blatant that Ian Flynn is worried, because people clearly have been calling in, and he's become aware of what is going on. Now, if he didn't know what was going on, he wouldn't be trying to perform damage control. After the not-so-warm reception to IDW Sonic number 1 and 2. Now, while a sane person would say, okay, I gotta get my act together, Ian Flynn decides, no, I'm gonna send out my fan base to harass my critics and any potential buying customers. And while the source he is referring to, Alex Hedgefox, on the surface might be considered incredibly biased, he actually has done a lot of research into much of this stuff, so he is a very reliable source. I ought to know, I fact-checked much of it. However, just doing your research is apparently considered fake news by this man. This is a man who wants all of his critics to be silenced, and he is willing to go to certain lengths to do so. And since he has one of the largest egos ever, I'm not really surprised that this is going to happen in the first place. Furthermore, Alex has actually been very fair with Ian, and he does indeed like some of his issues, however, not all of them. He does have some very... And of course, his complaints are legitimate complaints. They're not just hating on Ian Flynn just because he hates Ian Flynn. So saying that he has some kind of vendetta against Ian, I think, is very retarded. He goes into a ton of detail as to why he disagrees. He gives an insight as to what exactly is wrong, continuity issues, issues with character development, and that's some of the stuff he does. He actually does a lot of research into this stuff, and the fact that Ian didn't even bother talking about him by name, but referring to him as the source of these videos, seems to indicate that he suspects people will go after him as well, and not just Umbrella or I. I mean, in a situation like this, I'm not really surprised he wouldn't even mention us, because most of his fans probably know who we are on the internet. So, yeah, and Alex himself has been very infamous amongst the Ian Flynn community as being somewhat of their biggest adversary. So why Ian would go after him, I think, is very obvious, because he points out much of the stuff that Ian gets wrong, or much of the stuff that Ian has that he should work on. In other words, he's busy trying to silence his biggest critic, not just a big YouTuber and a YouTuber nobody. This behavior was not too dissimilar to Dan Slott, or Anita Sarkeesian when they decided to go after diversity in comics and Sargon of Akkad. In fact, it's almost a mirror image, albeit with less name-saying. I think that's about all I want to say on this current issue. And also, I'd like to apologize for my lack of videos. I've just been very busy, and there's been a lot of topics on hand, and it's just a lot of things going on right now. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and hit that like and subscribe button if you liked it. And if you disliked the video, tell me why. I am always looking to improve my videos in any way I possibly can. Bye-bye.